Alright, so we're wrapping up day 2. We're here at the Loveland patio, and we basically we have all of the sides, all of the rail systems are pretty much have pigmentation broken, meaning we have a coat on all of them. You can see the color that the deck system is going to end up being. It's a lighter blue than it currently is, right? This all needs touched up a little bit. We're going to go through here with a roller and build all of these rails and spindles out a little bit thicker, right? Got this back wall segment here that actually belongs with that deck and eventually will be what I believe is torn down or majorly restored at some point in time, but we just coated it to make it we just coated that to make this deck system here look decent without it being mismatched, right? So there's not a lot of repair and stuff that we're doing over there. It's more just coat that to make it look copacetic with this. But we're busy taking the Kong and basically driving it into cracks and gaps in the rail systems, and that's pretty much coming to a close now. From here, we'll go around with a roller, make the rails a little bit thicker, touch up a few areas, and then our focus will turn to lockdown encapsulation of this peeling deck paint. Now remember, at one point in time when we washed this had almost like a truck bed liner type coating on it, and it all came up. It was in through here. Over here, this coating system remained, so this part of the floor actually had good adhesion, and it basically because it was a different coating than what was here, right? This had some type of truck bed liner on it. Now I'm working with a coating system now for decks that have peeling deck paint that are low to the ground or sit very close to the ground, or have a roof system installed on the underside of their joist. Basically we call it lockout, and it's an acrylic stain that applies on here, milky white, but it dries clear. And what it does is it penetrates down into the wood, into the pores of the wood, the cracks of the wood, and what it does is it helps fight reverse water intake. And what reverse water intake is, with this particular patio system here, the bottom side of these deck boards are about that far, maybe even like that, off of the mud, the ground down there, and that constant moisture is actually drawing up into these boards, okay? And it keeps the bottom of these boards saturated. And what happens is, if we get a hard rain or we get a really hot day and it gets really humid up underneath of these planks, and we start to get steam or humidity or condensation, or the water wanting to escape out of there into the free open air, it'll actually attempt to come up through these planks, okay? What happens a lot of time, and you'll see this with a lot of deck owners in the spring that have low-lying deck systems, is they'll get these blisters or bubbles in their coating system. And that's what that's from. That's reverse water intake. It's actually water coming up from the bottom of your planks. It actually reaches the other side and comes out, but it gets trapped. It gets trapped under the film, the coating system, whether it be a paint, a stain, a thick build rescue coating or restoration coating like Kong. It doesn't make a difference. It'll get trapped under there and it'll produce a bubble, or what some people call a blister. A lot of times you can press on them and water will squirt out, right? And then another thing that you'll see is, if you leave them alone and you get a couple days where the weather dries up, what you'll see is they'll completely disappear altogether, right? And that's very, very common, where they're there for a couple days and then they're gone, right? So that's that water sinking down. It's not it's not trying to press up through the planks anymore for whatever reason, whether the humidity drops or it dries out up underneath that deck system, whatever the reason may be. But this new penetrating sealer, it's a primer for low-lying deck systems, and we're calling it Lockout. And this is the first deck system that we're going to be working with it on. Well, we'll come in again, it goes on milky, and it dries clear, and it penetrates down into this wood. We're going to roll out this area of the floor with it, let it dry, and then we'll come back over it. It's coatable within 1 hour, so an hour later we'll come back over with the Kong armor system and roll it out, right? And so it's supposed to act as a penetrating sealer that'll actually penetrate deep down into the wood and stop that water as it's rising, right? And I'm excited to work with it. It's something that we've had in development for going on 4 months now, working with different mixtures and different urethanes and acrylic urethanes and water hybrids and other things to try to develop a sealer that would penetrate deep enough into wood to fight against reverse water intake. And I think we have a pretty good sealer now, and we're calling it Lockout. And if you suffer from reverse water intake on your deck system, if you have a low-lying deck system, you'll eventually be able to get Lockout on my low you'll eventually be able to get Lockout on my Lowland deck supply store online, which is opening here in the next couple of months. Keep saying that, it's supposed to be every we're just so busy we can't manage to get it open and get all the products and everything on there. But Lockout will be available to everybody in the continental United States here in the next couple months, and so I'm excited about that too as well. All right, let's see where we get tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, and I think we finish this. I think we finish this Saturday, minus maybe a touch-up or something silly like that. I'm excited to work with Lockout here to fight against reverse water intake, probably up there too as well. Let's rock and roll. We're lockdown encapsulation of peeling deck paint tomorrow. We're going to see how powerful Lockout is as a primer, and you guys already know how powerful Kong is at the lockdown encapsulation of peeling deck paints. World patio system here in Cincinnati. It's going to stun the world how beautiful it turns out. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Saturday.